nuclear medicine physician, and in this talk, I think what I would like to do is answer Sandeep's question first, from NM to LM, the journey, why I did it. क्यों ऐसे हुआ? 27, 28 years तक nuclear medicine specialist थी मैं. अभी भी हूँ. That is my primary job. That's my full-time job. I head the department in nuclear medicine at Aster CMI hospitals. Nuclear medicine is basically functional imaging. We see what happens in the body at a cellular level, just like how radiologists look at it from outside. वो scans show करते हैं, CT scan, MRI scan, ये सब structural या anatomy दिखाते हैं. क्या size है, कितना है, how big is the lesion, things like that. It is all visual. What nuclear medicine does is, it is a super specialty in radiology. बहुत कम hospitals में मिलते हैं. It's a very niche subject, which also does scans. We do imaging, but we look at the functional aspects at a cellular level. I will show some pictures. And we do this mainly for diseases which are very chronic in nature. We do cancer scans, PET-CT scans, DEXA scans for osteoporosis. मैं थोड़ा pictures आपको दिखाती हूँ तो वो समझ में आने को, like, it will help understanding it better. And when I myself was diagnosed with diabetes 3-4 years ago, they gave me medications which I didn't want to take, and that's when my journey began to research and see what else is available out there. And I came across this wonderful subject called lifestyle medicine, which you can take an exam, pass the boards. I was already practicing and trained in the US, so that was a bit helpful for me. And start practicing lifestyle medicine also as a part of my current clinical practice in nuclear medicine. So I hope that answers the question, and I will start with the talk. The talk has been kind of classified into 4 sections. One is from nuclear medicine to lifestyle medicine, the journey, मैंने ऐसे क्यों किया, how to correlate the two. I'll also touch upon briefly on the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine and show how it can be used in prevention of disease or even reversal in certain circumstances, because that is what Dr. Ranjan also said this group would be interested in hearing. And I'll also focus maybe majorly on meditation or mindfulness, and how that correlates to lifestyle medicine and nuclear medicine, the scans we see and what scientific evidence is out there to kind of justify this. So how much time do we have, Dr. Ranjan?
We have 40 to 50 minute time, ma'am.
Great. So I will pace myself, and maybe we can take through that accordingly. So these are basically what we do on an everyday basis. This is a PET-CT scan. We are looking at cell function. We see what beyond what meets the eye. In a whole body PET-CT scan, we use special radioisotopes, mainly FDG. It's a glucose analog. It mimics glucose, does and goes everywhere glucose would go. And what you're seeing here is cancer cells feeding on the sugar. Sugar, which is in the food that we eat. Both sugar and fat act as catalysts that add fuel to this fire of cancer spread. And food can affect your genes too, because we now know that genes are not our destiny. And take the BRCA gene, the cancerous famous BRCA gene, for example. Not everybody has this gene, and not everyone with this gene actually ends up getting cancer. So there is something in the environment, like it could be lifestyle or food or carcinogen sometimes, which trigger these cells and make them go berserk, continue to produce non-stop, and then become cancerous. On the contrary, good nutrition in the microenvironment can help heal as well. These are heart scans that we do to see how the heart behaves while at stress, either emotional stress, physical stress, or surgical stress. So it shows the blocks in the heart vessels, if at all bypass surgery is needed or stents need to be put in. Can you guys guess what's in these two test tubes on the right side? Both are blood samples drawn from the same patient. If you look at the top, one has this thin yellow fluid, like the serum, and the other has this white stuff. I will give you a hint. One was taken after a vegetarian sandwich, and the other after a double-decker cheeseburger. Now it's easy to guess, right? The thick white one, which looks like the cheesy sauce, came from the cheeseburger, obviously. Now guess again, what do you think got deposited in the blood vessels and blocked the blood from getting into the heart, which we see on our scans here on the left-hand side? Because of this block, the patient had a heart attack and needed heart surgery, open heart surgery, to put in the stents because it was not accessible. Obviously, a fat, again, which is in our food. We also do gut scans, the GI scans, and here you're looking at food as a transit. Once you eat in your mouth until it goes out, we look at the size, the contour, the time of transit across the gut. And these graphs can change depending on the type of food we eat: liquid, solid, plant-based, animal-based. On the right-hand side, you see a picture of moss growing on the bricks. This is actually a picture from my garden. This phenomena happens every monsoon. The moss starts to grow. Just like this, food forms the matter in the gut on which the gut microbes grow. These are tiny little creatures in the gut which also form the second brain, and they kind of control our feelings even. And I also have this gut feeling that fiber-rich plant-based foods are good for you because research has found them that animal-based foods can cause even depression. We also do brain scans. This is a dopaminergic dopa scan, mainly done for Parkinson's disease. We look at the dopamine activity in the brain, and dopamine, it's a pleasure hormone. Sugar hits that very sweet spot in the brain. It's called the pleasure trap, and lights up the brain in the same way, just like addictive substances like cocaine, nicotine, alcohol do. And in a way, food has become the most socially accepted form of addiction today. We celebrate birthdays, festivals, we even mourn around food. And the food giants know this, because just like how the hospitals have pharmacists and they have, they come up with the medically accurate composition of the tablets or the cough syrups, these $1 million food industry guys hire food scientists and food tasters who come up with this perfect combination of SOS, salt, oil, and sugar. I obviously won't name the big companies here, but we all know they are highly addictive, right? In a way, what is ironical is that these are like hedonic ads. They make advertisements. They make it seem like a good thing, but at the cost of your health. Food affects every single cell of every organ system in the body, and nuclear medicine images that. We can see that in the scans. Number one reason why most of our loved ones die is heart disease. More than 62% of the cancer we see, I see at least, is already in stage 3 or 4. A majority of diabetics are overweight or obese. Bones break, hip fractures, knees hurt, memory is lost, Alzheimer's, only because they weren't taken well care of. And all this is preventable, and some are even reversible if we make the right choices. And the right choice is a mind thing. It's called resetting our minds. It's not just that the medications make you healthy, because food in itself is medicine too. It is the key to unlock good health. And the power to choose this lies in your hands. So it's important to choose wisely. While I was researching for my book, I came across this wonderful medical specialty of lifestyle medicine. It kind of also resonates with the WHO definition of health. It's a 360-degree approach and not mere absence of disease. It also looks at mental health and social health, which again is nothing new to us Indians, because throughout the book, I make these kind of correlations between traditional wisdom, which Ayurveda or any of the traditional sciences bring in, and how a lot of that is getting seen again back in modern medicine. For example, I talk about in South India, we have the spit concept, the angel or the musre. It's just the bad bacteria, which could be part of your mouth. We don't touch that or touch it, right? And now we see fecal transplants and gut microbiota coming in big into the practices. Multiple examples like this, for example, fasting, which is a process of autophagy. The Nobel Prize went to the Japanese, but in India, we have been practicing it as Ekadasi or things like that. So about 28 to 30 kind of examples like this, correlating traditional wisdom practices, which are very Indian versus what is very modern and technologically advanced and research proven today. We've been already doing this. And for me, this kind of came organically. I have lived half my life in the US and half my life here now in India, and also both as a patient and a doctor. So it was very fun and interesting for me to kind of acknowledge how limited our intelligence is, human intelligence is, when it comes to the awesome intelligence of nature. And we need to recognize that it's our ignorance, which is infinite, and our intelligence is in a way limited, and kind of work collaboratively with other practices. In medicine, we have kind of become top heavy. We are focusing, it's almost like we are trying to catch people falling off the cliff rather than building fences against them climbing there in the first place, because we are trained to kind of mop the floor and never really turn off the tap, if you will. Focusing on symptomatic treatments with surgery and medications, which are undoubtedly the two stars of the show, saving lives every day with such cutting-edge technological advances. But in a way, the approach has become reductionistic too. We do need a holistic approach. And this is exactly what lifestyle medicine brings to the table, and therefore should be a foundation of every specialty, because the building is only as solid as its foundation. And food is one of the strongest pillars to that foundation. Culinary medicine is something I'm taking up seriously now, focusing on food, helping our patients build skills from growing food, prepping, cooking, eating, because skill power is equally important as willpower. Willpower is needed to choose the right foods, but it's the skill power which makes it tasty and satisfying and sustainable in the long run. And we do this together in groups, including the patients and their families, and because everybody in the patient support system also needs to eat the same kind of food. It is very important to be mindful of what you fill your body or your car with, food or medications into your body, or petrol or diesel into your car. The size of the tablet is also very similar to the size of a pea. And so are the size of these stents very similar to size of the green beans. One can help you do good and prevent disease. However, the other can help you fix the already hoarded disease. Our bodies are only made up of what we eat. So if we make the right choices early on, we don't need to medicate. We can very well eradicate these self-inflicted lifestyle disorders. So this is what I was able to do. By focusing what I put on my plate, I was able to do away with these medications by choosing the right kind of food, quality and quantity wise. It is not sheer magic or simple math of food habits. You can decide. There's an entire section in the book which talks about different good habits you can develop, both internally and externally. Food also affects our habits and habitat, and planet Earth is not something that you have inherited from your older generation, but is in fact borrowed from our younger generation. We do need to take care of it by eating right, because plant-based foods leave a smaller carbon imprint on the planet and also a smaller carbon imprint, karma imprint on your soul, if you will. I think the book kind of mainly addresses this gap, the gap between what your current state is and what you want to address in the future. It helps you build the skill powers. I'm talking about all the 6 different pillars of lifestyle medicine. It has about 14 chapters. The first is the journey, which is important and not really the destination. The initial 3 chapters are dedicated to food, both macronutrients, micronutrients, why organic is good, how GMO foods can affect your health, what are the different categories in processed foods, what are animal-based foods. There is so much confusion about milk, A2 milk, A1 milk, desi cow, plant-based milk, what research is there behind that and what truly works. We have a section on food safety, the chemicals, additives added either in the packaging, or the preservative, or to enhance color or the flavor. And there's a chapter on endocrine disruptors, which include what are the different types of food containers, plastics, which are okay, safe to use kind of plastics, which are not. And to talk about growing food, it could be microgreens or macrogreens. One of the reasons I wrote this book was most of the benchmark institutions, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine or the British, they're all very, when it comes to healthy food, it's all kale and broccoli, which is not really available in India, or even if it is available, it can kind of get really expensive. So microgreens and other macrogreens, there is about 20-30 macrogreens, which are very quickly and easily available or even grown in your own patio or terrace gardens if you want to, which have the equal micronutrient content. So I give you a tabular columns and comparing them, and also recipes in which you can use these, simple chutneys, toppings, whatever can be done, having a tabular column on that. And in the macronutrient section, what are the different types of oils? They talk about only corn and canola in the Western context. And there's a constant question of what oil to use. So the tabular column puts it all out there, groundnut oil, sesame oil, all the oils, and which is high in which is high in trans fat or saturated fat, why it is bad, which is good, what are the percentages, everything, it's just laid out there in the book. And also when it comes to carbohydrates, A lot of locally sourced millets are fantastic. They are equally nutrient dense, comparable to oats or quinoa or barley, which is propagated highly in the Western concept. So we even have a grain hierarchy, which not all millets are the same, especially if you are a diabetic, where the glycemic index or the glucose load is very important. So we have all that charted in as well. And things like how green tea, how much the cups of coffee you can use. These are all common questions patients ask us on an everyday basis. So addressing all of that. And a very important thing is also what can you do to prep your food better? What, it could be soaking, sprouting, fermenting, what are the different ways to do, why you have to do it, and how you should not be doing it. That's also equally important. Prebiotics, probiotics, all of that is also covered, including the healthier cooking techniques. There is air frying, it could be baking, water sauteing, so many newer techniques which can bring down the fat content or enhance the nutrient content. We have some cheat sheets for make simple recipes, juicing or smoothies, a cheat sheet for salads and soups because they can be satiating and equally filling. The calorie density is high, the satiety index is high. So everything has been explained much in detail in a very simple way. Also bringing in the context of sattvic foods, why sattvic foods are good and which conditions they can help in. It's also important to pay attention to the diets. Many people talk about many diets, so putting it out all there, bringing in a component of exercise prescriptions, which doctors are doing now, and one chapter dedicated to each disease, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, bone disease, so on and so forth. My favorite one in this context is chapter 12, which is soul food. It kind of, it has a spiritual context. It kind of connects traditional wisdom to modern medicine and talks about ahimsa, dharma, and how that connects back as to the art of healing. Also, a few things on stress management, sleep, positive psychology. The last chapter is titled Pati or Sympathy, bringing in integrated medicine, how all of us can still work together, because every subject has its own strengths. Ayurveda, acupressure, acupuncture, homeopathy, most of them, a lot of things are listed there and which conditions they can really help better. And many annexures having the common additives in the foods that we see, be it as simple as the bread you buy, the emulsifiers in it, how they can affect your health, or the coloring agent in the candies or the chocolates kids eat these days. About 15 or 20 annexures going in detail about all the food additives and such. Plant-based protein, plant-based calcium, a lot of powerful information in this book. I will skip with the habits. All this is explained in detail. These are some of the colorful vegetables because eating a rainbow is a new healthy concept now. Those are salads which we make, all fruits. I have about 20 different fruits trees in my garden. My garden won the national award of 1 lakh cash prize because we have grown about 200 varieties of these exotic vegetables, all organically. We do kitchen waste composting and stuff. And even all that is explained in brief in the book, how you can start a kitchen garden and why you should do it, and most of the things. Microgreens, how to grow wheat grass, how to sprout, that's alfalfa sprouts, what dishes you can use it, and that's a little map showing which nutrients are rich in which type, what supplements you need, B12 and D mainly. Some pictures of air fried French fries, air fried bendi kurkure, all home baked breads, baked samosas, all charts again done in the air fryer, zero oil. They can be very healthy actually, and also vegan. Even the tire vada or the vada, we do it in the paddu pan. There's a recipe for that where you don't need to deep fry it. Many desserts not using white sugar. We are using either jaggery or dates, and all the explanation why it is better is also listed in the book. All that was on the first pillar of lifestyle medicine, which is food. The second important pillar is movement or exercising or physical activity, because sitting is the new smoking, and exercise itself is a prescription, and exercise prescriptions are becoming the norm. I think I'm probably one of the few who gives us exercise prescription to the patient, which covers the fitness principles, which includes the frequency, intensity, time, and type of exercise in each separate category, be it cardiovascular, muscular endurance, muscular strength, flexibility, body composition, anaerobic, or even just daily health. A lot of information I will just briefly skip now. And sleep hygiene, it's very, very, very critical. The suprachiasmatic nucleus present just somewhere where the pituitary gland is can play havoc to your health if not taken care of. The circadian rhythm, how the internal cycles correspond and interact with the external cycles. The micro and the macrocosm interaction, which affects health tremendously. Going to these brain chemicals, which are the chemicals. Oxytocin is the love hormone, the endorphins, the painkillers, dopamine, the reward chemicals, serotonin, the mood stabilizer, and all of this are seen in the nuclear scans that we do, imaging that we do. And I won't go into the detail with the other chemicals, but serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer, is research-proven hormone associated with meditation and mindfulness. So we spoke about food, fitness, sleep, and stress management. And the fifth pillar is substance abuse, tobacco and alcohol. I will skip that. And the last pillar here we are looking at is positive psychology, which mainly has the PERMA components to it. Positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. So looking at diabetes, can it be reversed? Yes. How? It's all in the book. And I've had the privilege to work with Dr. Dean Ornish, 2001, 1999, 2000. I was in California when I did my degree there, and then I was working with the group in Lancaster. I went to the University of Texas under the Dr. Gold, who was in partnership on a clinical trial with Dean Ornish, with the very first PET-CT scanner of its kind. And these are the images of the PET-CT scan, which shows the heart blocks and the significance of the heart blocks on these PET scans. So that is I think, a very, very old book, has been in the market. I bought this copy and I hadn't read it until recently. I was diagnosed with diabetes. I had a personal copy, and now it's all coming back to me, and that was kind of me finding my ikigai, coming back to my roots. A lot of carcinogens. This is an entire chapter. What causes cancer? How you can screen it? What should you avoid in your home, in your food, in your lifestyle, in the industry we work in? What kind of viruses or infections can cause it? And radiation is big for me because nuclear medicine is all about internal radiation. We give the radioisotope into the patient, and what is the different perspective of radiation spectrum, starting from the electromagnetic radiation, which is in your cell phones, to the medical X-ray or the CT scans, which we do in the hospital setting. So where exactly does the cell phone radiation or the microwave radiation fall? And what can we do to minimize the impact of such radiation? It's an entire chapter in the book also, conforming to the latest US guidelines. And also toxic chemicals in the cosmetics, as simple as cosmetics that we use. And I put this up here because it's ironical that the companies who claim to be fighting these cancers, for example, breast cancer, they themselves use so many carcinogenic components in the cosmetics that we use. So in the book, I also talk about household alternative simple choices, which are pretty equally good. For example, it could be as simple as using food colorings in lipsticks. It could be like beetroot or chocolate. And we have classes for this happening. And there's so much of awareness to be created. And all the different chemicals, they have not been tested in the industry. Only about less than 1% of them have been tested by FDA, and only even lesser percent can come under the regulation of FDA. So it's important to recognize that, and there is an entire section in the book which talks about alternatives to what we can use instead of these harmful chemicals, be it as simple as vinegar or many, many combinations. I won't go into that details as well, but my intention is to create awareness of all the possible choices or things which can damage us or our bodies and cause bad health. So coming to the last section of the talk, I will briefly touch upon meditation or spirituality in that context. We know the brain has the left and the right brain, and both have different emphases on different things. One is logic and intelligence, number, sequencing, math, and whereas the other is all arts and music and pictures and imagination and such. We know that. And in the brain also, the prefrontal cortex, what falls in the front part, is pretty emotional, empathy, insight, response, flexibility, whereas the limbic system is what controls the fight and flight reflexes and, am I safe, and the emotional aspects of it. And if you typically look at the formation of the brain, it's this center part, the reptilian brain, which controls our instincts, and the limbic brain, which later evolved, controls the emotional and the feeling part of the brain. And it's the most recent and the neocortex, which makes a human being the radical thinker or thinking part, which brings into these three layers of the brain, which is the unconscious mind, subconscious mind, and the conscious mind. And meditation helps you go deeper and deeper into that. And we can document that with the EEG waves, where the transition of the waves happens from the beta brain waves to the alpha and theta, going to the deeper level, and delta, which is like totally at peace or rest or even sleep, if you will. And what we are aware of so far is mainly the conscious mind, which is only 10%. It's only on the top of what you're seeing, the iceberg, that controls the willpower, long-term memory, logical thinking, and critical thinking. But it is the 90% of the brain which has control on beliefs, emotions, habits, values, which is very, very important. And I talk about in the book as well. You need to figure out the why in what makes you cry. So that's identifying with your true value system, even as a caregiver or a health personnel, or as somebody, as a patient who wants to do things to improve your health. If we have time, I would like to do this quick exercise. You all know what this is, right? These are dumbbells, right? Can you all see this?
Yeah, we can go ahead with the exercise. That's the most engaging segment.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is listen to this carefully. I have these dumbbells in my hand. Can you see it? Listen to this and tell me which sounds better. That was one. And now what I will do is take off the cotton balls. Here, I have kept inside. Okay, all the cotton balls. I'm going to remove that. And now listen to this and tell me which sounds better. I'm also going to let them use a bit hands a bit loose, and then you can even see the variation when you bring it closer and further. The vibration. So which was better? Can you type in your answers? Is it number
second sound was not perfectly audible.
Okay, let's try this again. That's without the cotton. Let's try with the cotton. I'm putting back the cotton. And this is one. I'll put back the cotton and we will try that again.
Actually, there is no sound, Dr. Mythri.
Oh, there is no sound. Okay. So I need to, the concept I'm trying to show, have they muted me or something?
No, you are not muted. You are normal, but
Okay,
still our sound is coming.
let me try. Now, you can hear that?
Yeah,
Yeah? Okay.
your voice is audible.
Okay. The sound?
That sound is not audible.
Okay. Now?
No.
Okay. Anyway, let's keep that. So the point what I was trying to make is what meditation does is remove this cotton ball in the mind. So the vibrations are, clearer. I mean, you can try this at home yourself. You could even use a bell, like a bell, the ghanta, which we use for, just put some cotton inside and shake it. Obviously, there's not enough movement there. So the sound is muffled and it's not so clear. But once you remove it and you allow focus to happen, which is what meditation helps us do, it helps us tap into the subconscious mind, look into our emotions and help us do some goal setting. That is what I was trying to do. This is the main experiment. So I want you guys to take a piece of paper and pencil and write down the score for yourself under these 5 questions. So the score would be, 5 questions would be, in most ways of my life, it is close to my ideal. Are you happy with your life? It is more like a life satisfaction survey. Do you strongly disagree, slightly disagree? So from 1 to 7, you can score yourself. Conditions of my life are excellent. I am satisfied with my life. So far, I have gotten the most important things, what I want in life. And if I could live my life over again, I would change almost nothing. So if you can give a score, if you want to take a snapshot, you can do this later also. Score of each of these questions. And then your satisfaction rating would be anywhere from 5 to 9, which is extremely satisfied, to 31 to 35, which is extremely dissatisfied, to extremely satisfied. So the higher you score, the better score you get. What makes your life unhappy? It could be a lover's quarrel, conflicts in the office, family trouble, absent-mindedness after success. It's a common one, and failure due to confidence after success. So until you do this kind of life reflection and plot it in a graph of your life, my life graph, you can see how it goes up and down between your current state and the future that you want. And what this kind of self-reflection helps you do is to understand your mind and solve any shortages dealing with conflicts and difficult problems. Only after self-reflection, you kind of subtract these thoughts from memories from the past life, and the degree of satisfaction drastically increases. And meditation can help you do this by building resilience. Resilience, again, is the ability of the mind to overcome various difficulties and failures. It helps you reduce stress, live comfortably, sleep well, improve your relationships with surroundings, and develop a positive attitude by also stimulating the reticular activating system, which controls multiple things, letting you focus on your value, allows you to perceive threat, and supports you when you need to set goals. There are different types of meditation practices. Mindfulness meditation, which kind of you observe the bodily sensations, thoughts, or feelings. This is the easiest and the simplest method. The spiritual, the name itself justifies, it is a connection with the higher power, like a religious connotation, if you will. Focused meditation, where you focus on an external focus, like, counting the bead malas, or listening to the gong, or counting your breath, moon gazing. All this sounds very simple only in theory, but can be quite difficult. And you need to, just like how you exercise repeatedly to build muscle, you need to repeatedly do these practices to train and control your mind. Movement meditation like gardening or Tai Chi, anything involving gentle movement. And the mantra meditation, which is most common in India, used in India, that it's Hindu, there's no religious connotation per se, because Om chanting identifies with vibration. And transcendental meditation, this has the highest scientific validation amongst all others. Most of the research which gets done is in this category. Progressive relaxation, that's the body scan way, where you relax one group muscle at a time. The loving and kindness, the heartful meditation, where you open up your mind to receive love from others and sending it back. And visualization technique, where you visualize positive scenes, images, or figures. The dhyana in the Indian context again has, or the sampatti has 4 further exercises defined. Sampatti is to attain this kind of peace, inner peace, that's listed there. And basically it all identifies with being aware of the present movement, subduing the negative mind, being mindfulness of the meditation object, whichever that is of your choice, and dawning upon awareness and continuing that throughout the continuum. Those are the different steps. There is enough research to show that meditation can offer general health and mental emotional benefits, including it can lower the blood pressure, it can reduce stress, it can help you sleep better, and better control over your emotions and focus if you're a student, happy moods, better moods, reduce aggression, in the teenage, in that category of patients, greater adaptability, if there are a lot of changes happening, difficult to cope, which can also happen with age. As we age, the way we deal constantly changes, so it helps us, get back into term and develop a greater sense of empathy and connection with others. In medicine, there are certain symptoms or specific conditions which can be helped. Depression and anxiety disorders, which the psychiatrists or the psychologists see. Cardiovascular disorders like arterial hypertension, particularly, that the cardiologists see. Dementia and Alzheimer's, again, neurologists see that. Parkinson's comes from neurology for us. Insomnia, sleeplessness, chronic obstructive, as long as it is not an obstructive pathology, it can be helped there. And ADHD, we are commonly seeing this in children, and all types of chronic pain because of cancer, because of bone diseases. A lot of this, there has been good benefit. So that's my last slide. And if I could request all of you to, it's called a gratitude jar. So if you could all type in one thing you're all grateful for today or, this week, we can make this last slide for this talk. And I'll be happy to know what everybody is grateful for, because that itself is positive psychology, and that is one of the strongest, also good pillar in lifestyle medicine. So what I am thankful for is my book, which has received great reviews as an Amazon bestseller, and I hope it will also answer most of your questions, help you introduce a little bit of lifestyle medicine into your practice, so your patients can also benefit from the learnings in the book. Thank you.
And we are also grateful for your wisdom talk, your wonderful, enlightening talk. In fact, this development, the evidence appearing for the effect of meditation and mindfulness, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think we will see a lot more of new research coming in this end. And there is an entire section in the book which gives references to this as well. The last chapter, or the last sentence in the book is, I talk about Neil Bohr, who says, anybody who has not understood the importance of quantum physics or quantum mechanics, he really hasn't understood physics in its basic sense. So energy medicine is the next new frontier, and it's good to recognize that and open up our minds to the huge power within our body, which it's all about energy and prana, and and not just become top heavy, focusing on research and data. And there is also an entire section on research. What are the pitfalls in research, the different types of biases, and how we should be careful even when we read a research paper. So it's been a fun project for me to talk to different people, research. I think I researched the content for more than 3 to 4 years now. There was a definite lack in availability of the right information. It was either inadequate or inaccurate. There lot of few people doing not so good things are giving a bad name to all the other good work being done by many other people. So collecting everything and putting things there in a contextual sense, saying this is this with proper validated peer-reviewed reference was important and the need of the hour, particularly bringing it in the Indian context of things. So that's what I've done. All right. Any questions?
That Martin Seligman's, that PERMA model, can
Yes.
you explain a little bit more?
We can go back to that. That's the where was that? Okay. So PERMA, positive emotions. So great. Somebody, Keith too, is saying gratitude for wisdom and gratitude for the whole team. So just put in one word, what in your life, what you're grateful for in your life, that I think will have a positive engagement. See, when you look at stress, right, there is a good stress and there is a bad stress. There is a middle zone, which is called the flow. That's also explained in the book. That's the stress phase of it. That's also an essential component that makes you do better. Just like how, just before the exam, there is the stress where you really cram up and study, and that's what gets your marks up. I'm not saying, I'm not recommending it, but just to give you an example, the concept of eustress. So there are different components to stress as well. And going deeper into this positive psychology model, positive emotions, what makes you feel good? Playing games with family, physical exercise can have a happy, good feeling, because it does release all the happy, good hormones. Nature can do that. Forest bathing and horticultural therapy. These are new concepts, also explained in the book in detail. There is even data showing that I think if you have this much amount, I forget the numbers, of square footage of greenery around you, it brought down the number of asthma and also depression in so many patients in so many countries. All that data is there. So reflecting on good things, what went well for you, concentrating on the positive things, that's positive emotion. And the ratio between positive, it's also okay to have negative emotions. The ratio I think also explained in the book is 3:1. So one negative emotion is okay for every three positive emotions. So that's a good balance there. E is engagement. What is the flow of activities which make you lose track of time? It is very similar to the flow we talk about eustress. It could be puzzles, board games, hobbies are come in this category. Anything sport related, something as simple as gardening or cooking, things like that, which you feel engaged in. R is relationships. Who brings you joy, peace, and support? Connecting with relations around you, people around you, friends, family, workship relations, even just how you chat with a stranger, or how you connect with your relationship with somebody who, with empathy, with showing that humane aspect of you. These are relationship based. Having meaning and purpose is engaging something vertically, your higher purpose or your higher cause. Sending a care package. I mean, during COVID, I think we all did that. I had care packages sent in to my people across for showing that you care and you really cannot be together physically, at least, or making a donation to charity or volunteering your time in a community project. Things like that have a positive impact on the brain. And accomplishment. What are your goals? Setting goals itself, that itself is a big chapter. It's called SMART goals. The goals need to be specific, measurable, attainable. I won't go into the details. It's all in the book, but that is what basically PERMA kind of captures in the bigger context of positive psychology. And these are the happy hormones that it correlates with. Oxytocin is something, it's the love hormone when you play with a pet or a baby, or you hold hands, or you hug people, or you even pay a compliment, it secretes oxytocin. And endorphins are the painkillers. When you laugh, that's how laughter therapy can be helpful. Even aromatherapy that releases endorphins. Laughing, watching a comedy show, or even dark chocolate and exercise are also known to release endorphins. Dopamine can be very tricky because it's a reward chemical, especially sugar. Like I showed you, it can trigger and trigger the pleasure trap mechanisms. And it is released also when you finish a task, some basic self-care activities, when you eat nutritious food, when you celebrate accomplishments, big or small. And serotonin is the mood stabilizer that comes out when during meditation, running, jogging. Sun can give that nature walk, swimming, stuff like that. All right, it's 12:07, and I think I will close it here.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Anurag from Bangalore. I'm taking ISLM exam this year. So, like, what I found difficult in this manuals and other things is, as you mentioned, the vegetables and fruits and few other grains which are mentioned in the book are from US or UK foreign origin. So, as you mentioned, you have given an alternative in your book. I'll make sure that I'll go through that, and it would be helpful for us to inculcate in the practice and advise to our clients.
Yeah, definitely, Dr. Anurag. I think it comes under phytonutrients, and there is I don't have a copy of the book, but I could show it to you. There's a circle, and it shows all the leaves and what can be locally grown, and which I have personally been growing. And that was the main reason for me. Even Dr. Neil Bernard, he wrote back to me and he said, even Tushar has a great extensive database, Dr. Tushar Mehta in Canada. Both of them have given very good reviews about the book, mainly because it brings in this Indian context, which is very, very relevant. Otherwise, it's just talking, which half of it we cannot really practice. So bringing in that, there is also a section on the Fit Ambassador movement, which Modi ji has promoted so much, the different types of yoga and fitness in the Indian context for different particular age groups. So we link it to that as well. And I do hope this you will all have it will help you all, and we can all work together in this lifestyle medicine. We will also be coming up with skilling workshops. For example, I'm predominantly about 99% vegan. I think I would say now. It's been a journey. It didn't happen overnight. It took me 2 to 3 years to bring one item down every week or every month. I've started making my own peanut curds and things like that. So a lot of learnings and teaching that you have to help them build the skill power needed, not just telling them do this, do this. How do you do it? And how do you do it the easy way and the cheaper way or sustainable way at home? Not just suggest buy that doctor's medications. So it's now become my passion project. This is what I used to do on weekends, but I am finding meaning and purpose in this, taking it forward.
Great. Ma'am, last slide, one participants want to see the last slide. At present, white plain skin is there. So,
what was the slide about?
last
There are
slide.
many slides. I didn't show all the slides. 1 second.
Okay. It might be that happy hormone, happy brain chemicals. So any friend, if you have any question, you can kindly type in the chat if you have any question, and kindly go through the book for more. Meenakshi, you asked for the last slide. It was the same happy brain chemical.
Yeah, serotonin. I think that's showing now.
Next slide is what is the next slide, ma'am? Goals.
Pharma.
But
Human plan. I mean, this is just a fun slide. Gratitude jar. I will show this. There are many slides. I haven't gone through all the slides. The last slide is this slide. That's when I was in Rome giving this talk, and that's my son eating ice cream, and he's looking at this gladiator here, who were also vegetarian. I mean, they were vegan. All these tall, muscular guys. So that's him, and now he is taller than me and the gladiator. He is like 6'2" today. So that's my last slide. Yeah. This was when I was called as a speaker for the World Osteoporosis Foundation. This was, I think, 2005, many years ago. I had just moved back to India, and we had a foundation, the Osteoporosis Foundation India, and we had all these milk products and dairy products and a lot of things listed there. And with this new awareness and research coming in, we have redone the whole thing. Now it goes as the Green Foundation India, and it just signifies the amount of learnings and what lifestyle medicine also helps us is recognize the impact of industry, even in setting the normal standards, be it the cholesterol levels or be it what in the plate you call as dairy, right? I mean, it's only calcium. It's how it happens in the US is there is a scientific body and then there is a regulatory body. Before they get converted to final regulations, there is scope for industry to kind of intervene and give their input. So it kind of gets morphed. where the poultry or the meat industry has a say to say that they somehow convert this protein to meat and beef and things like that. You don't need all that. You can get enough and good protein from plant sources, spinach, palak, and so many things. It's all listed in the book. It's this just kind of eye washing which gets done in terms of confusing people only to sell their product, which is mind boggling. Same with calcium, the dairy industry, or the egg, the cholesterol behind it, right? They even morph with what is considered normal. Now they say it should be as low as possible. It used to be 150, then it became 300, and now it just, the more you learn about all this, you kind of really become more aware and cautious of where to filter in all the marketing strategies and the industry push into that. All right.
Right.
Great. It's 12:15. I will take leave. I have another thing to get to.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
Dr. Mythri.